close. He lays out and makes the catch.
And we're back for another episode of the Double Switch Podcast. Week 4, 4 or 5, something like that.
4.
Bryce Harper's back. It is week 4. Bryce Harper is back in week 4. It doesn't sound right to say. Just it feels weird. I remember talking to you, and there was quite a range of outcomes that we saw happening. We saw this pushing into August. We saw as early as back as late May. Neither one of us would have predicted March 2nd Bryce Harper would be making his season debut.
May 2nd.
May 2nd. I wish it was March 2nd, but May 2nd, he's back. Misses slightly over 1 month of the season. He is the quickest person to ever return from Tommy John surgery. He's a DH, so he's not going to throw. So obviously that's a little asterisk. But nonetheless, it is remarkable what Bryce Harper's doing. And it changes so much because not only do the Phillies have a huge advantage going forward, this was not part of the plan. No one thought this was going to happen. And it's just icing on top of the cake. And for Tommy John surgery, people are going to start looking at hitters who have Tommy John surgery and like, how much do they really need to be out with the DH spot? Crazy. And I feel like it's all happening so fast too. I feel like a couple weeks ago, we're like, oh, he's doing pretty good. 2 weeks ago, we're like, oh, he's hitting now. Last week, oh, he's ready, and here he is. Wild.
Yeah, that it had to be probably like the craziest month of just like insider updates because I'd be like salivating when I saw a new Bryce Harper update because obviously me, you, everyone that listens to this, Phillies fans, we've been longing for that tweet. Bryce Harper activated from the IL, like. We're so ready for this moment, and it just feels weird how soon it is, honestly. Like, today, I'm more than joy. I'm a little bit worried.
Yeah, so we kind of milked the whole story. I started to notice that as the season went on. People knew that these articles about Bryce Harper were probably generating a lot of buzz for the sport and for the Phillies and everything. And I felt like every day we saw a new Bryce Harper article. They had him on interviews and all kinds of stuff generating the hype. And then, we saw his Instagram photo, and the man can just market the crap out of himself. He's so everybody's so interested in Bryce Harper, and he's such a fascinating character in the game. You did mention something that is true. It's kind of a bummer, but there's a certain degree of worry with all of this because it's not all flowers and rainbows and stuff. He had a very serious surgery, and he's back earlier than we've ever seen. This is uncharted territory. It's going to be a balancing act for him to be productive, push himself, get back into game form, but don't injure that arm. It's just going to be a balancing act for him, for the manager, for the team. Does he play back-to-back games that often? Who knows? I don't know. I don't even know how to start to kind of think about this. It's a lot at once for everybody here involved. What is your level?
100%.
What is your level of worry right now with Bryce? Do you think it's too soon, or do you kind of rationalize it with if he's ready, he's ready?
I mean, I'm not a doctor, and one of the best doctors in the sport cleared him to play. So clearly, like, he is healed, and it's safe for him to be playing. But there has to be that little worry about. it is a serious surgery, and setbacks from these type of surgeries aren't great usually. That being said, Bryce Harper and every single person in the Phillies organization probably has been planning for this moment and how to handle it as it goes forward because they know how Bryce is. Bryce will push himself harder than anyone else on the team. He's a grinder, and he wants to be out there and making an impact. So I think that's the thing that scares me. Bryce doesn't like holding back. It's not really his strong suit. He thinks he can do anything, and he kind of can. But hopefully he takes care of his body. You don't have to. You honestly, like, you're gonna get picked off at first base. Like, get picked off at first base. Don't slide in awkwardly. I don't care.
Yeah, this whole rehab process, it's just gone so smoothly that I wouldn't be surprised. I would feel the same way if I were him, but he's probably very confident, and it's probably overconfidence, to be honest. He probably feels like this is going 100% according to plan, and nothing can go bad, and it's just so far from the truth. Fortunately, though, there are very, very good doctors who approved him to play, and these doctors, I mean, you don't want to be the doctor who sends Bryce Harper back to baseball, and then he hurts himself, and everybody looks at you and says, "Why did you let him play?" You know, this
Yeah,
is
what the hell,
they're
man?
positive. They're positive he's ready. There's no ambiguity, but no, it's fun. It's just fun having Bryce back on the field. What are you expecting in terms of him getting back into game form? Because there's no rehab assignment for him. Last year, the rehab assignment didn't even like really help because he went like 6 for 10 with like. Oh, I think I'm frozen here. I don't know if you can see me.
Yeah, I
Um,
see. I can hear you too.
Good. Well, I'm frozen to myself. So anyway, yeah, he went like 6 for 10 and just crushed minor league pitching. But he didn't have that this time. He's going right back into it. Are you expecting kind of what are you expecting really in terms of production from him right off the bat?
That's a really good question. We don't really see players come back from this long of hiatuses and not do a rehab assignment. But Bryce Harper's kind of a different type of player. I could easily see him like scorching the ball the first week, and then maybe cooling off for a couple weeks because I mean he is getting stretched out. It's these first couple weeks are kind of like his spring training. Josh, are you here with me?
Yeah, I'm here with you. I think I'm having some camera difficulties, so you guys will just have to hang out with Johnny for a second while you hear
For
me.
those who don't know, Josh needs to buy a new laptop.
I don't even understand it. I'm not going to mention laptops because I don't want to be sued by any companies for defamation. But
Yeah,
if you
Microsoft's
know what
listening to this.
if you know what laptop I have, I don't recommend. Have not had
I
very
have
good
the same
experience.
one. I love it. My camera doesn't do what his is doing right now. But yeah, no.
Anyway,
Back to the podcast. I honestly no clue what Bryce Harper's going to do. I think he could have an incredible week just because he's amped up. I think he could struggle because he hasn't been on the field very much. We're just gonna have to see. Simple as that. And I just think the guys in the clubhouse are gonna be really happy to have him back. I think he's really missed being there with everyone, and I think it will be a positive boost for the squad, who's sitting at 500. Kept our heads above water until Harper's back, just like we had to. I thought we'd be more like 35-30 when he came back, 60 games in, but we're 30 games in. Bryce only missed 30 games. That's huge.
yeah, slightly under a fifth of the season, but yeah, you're right. We kind of said that we have to tread water until he gets back, and I mean, you look up at the standings, 15-15. That's treading water. It's pretty much just starting the season 0-0, except now you have Bryce Harper in your lineup. Um, but yeah, no, Bryce is going to he's going to get back into shape probably quicker than a lot of players would, just because he's Bryce Harper. But I do expect some offers. I do expect him to kind of take some time to get his timing right. I know that's probably going to be the biggest problem, but get a couple weeks. I think Bryce Harper is going to be Bryce Harper. I'm not the least bit worried about that. But
Uh,
no,
do
it's a
you
good time.
consider the fact that he's kind of been like simulated games with big league pitchers, not minor league pitchers like Ranger Suarez and those type of guys? Do you think that helps?
No, because I remember when I used to play baseball, I used to get on this the pitching machine and I dial it up as like fast as I could, just because I was a kid and I could make contact. I could put the ball in play, but then I got like some JV pitchers out there throwing like 65 with just these awful curveballs, and I couldn't touch them. So the game's different. The game situations are much different, and unfortunately. Practice is much easier than the actual game. And it'll be good for him to kind of get release points right and maybe it'll help with his timing, but it's just so different. You can't really emulate that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't think there's really any real way to emulate the game experience. But I guess that's enough Harper talk for now. Maybe we should kind of look over a good week we had. 2 series wins, one against the Mariners. It was a gutsy series coming back after losing game 1. And then the Astros series, which was awesome. World Series rematch. Really good to see the Phillies play good baseball in Houston, especially after how we went down. We went down hard.
Yeah, for sure. And people made a lot of I don't know if you noticed, but I guess I'm just not going to join you this podcast.
You know what? I guess I'm looking at myself.
Yeah, so just enjoy my black screen while I'm fuming over here because of my laptop's poor performance. But no, people made a big deal out of, the schedule was so easy and they only went like 9-12. What are they going to do when they face real teams? Well, we went to Houston and we took 2 out of 3, and we faced the Mariners and we took 2 out of 3. And those are 2 playoff teams from last year. Those are 2 teams that I don't know about you, but I thought they'd be playoff teams this year. They have top tier talent: Julio, Jordan, Bregman. The names go on and on. Those are real baseball teams, and we face some real pitchers: Logan Gilbert, Framber. And to go 4-2 in a week like that, you got to feel good about where your team's at. No, I think this is a team that, unfortunately, we've kind of always been like this for the past couple of years. We play up and down to competition. I don't know what it is about the team, but we seem to struggle with teams that are not very good. But once you put us on, a bigger stage, Sunday Night Baseball, the Braves, the Astros, we seem to be fine. I don't know. Baseball is weird, and there's really no point in speculating why that is. But I think this team can beat anybody right now, but I also worry that we're not at the point where we can avoid losing to anybody. I don't think we can kind of take care of the teams we need to yet. But the pieces are there. We showed that this week, and specifically, the pitching side is kind of reversing in a way. Some of the guys that were good early on have struggled late, and most
Good
importantly,
point.
probably Nola and Wheeler, they look the best they have this week. Where are you at on the rotation start to finish, especially now? Ranger is back on a rehab assignment. He should be right around the corner. It's an interesting topic here.
Yeah, pitching staff isn't. It's tough to put your finger on exactly what this pitching staff is at the moment, based off of April. I mean, April was a chaotic one for the Phillies pitching staff, and I'll hit on Ranger real quick. I think Ranger is going to be, on the pitching side, just as important as Bryce is to the offensive side of the ball. Ranger's a gamer, and he shows up to pitch. He might not have the best stuff, but he's a gamer, and I think that his mentality kind of spreads nicely through the rest of the rotation. We got a lot of chill guys that are like very relaxed, like Nola and Wheeler. I think once he comes back and starts pitching some good ball, it kind of infuses the rest of the gang. But yeah, it was great for the guys that are pitching right now. Wheeler and Nola. That was the headline of the week. It looked like they're back. Nola kind of proved, even in a start where his velocity was down a tick, he was down 91, 92 instead of that 93 average that he's usually around. And he still made it work. He's crafty. Me and you texted about it a good amount. He's going to age well. I know people hate to hear it because that the contract year is looming, but Aaron Nola is going to be a good pitcher in his 30s because he knows how to pitch. He's not really a thrower anymore. Never really was.
Yeah. How do you like the new layout here? You're kind of the star of the show.
Yeah, this is cool. I don't even know where you are.
Yeah. Aaron Nola, 8 innings against the Astros. Another team that he seems to pitch pretty well against, but like you said, 89 to 91 was kind of what I was seeing, which is pretty. That's like bad velocity.
Yeah,
in
89
today's
is
game.
concerning.
Yeah, I was not happy with that. But then you just look up and it's kind of like the Kyle Hendricks formula. Kyle Hendricks was really good for a couple of years, and Kyle Hendricks threw like 86. If you can put a baseball wherever you want it, it really is. It doesn't matter how hard you throw, because I'm a firm believer that good location is kind of priceless on the pitching side, because um, anybody can hit velocity, but if you can put a pitch exactly where you want it, you'll be a very good pitcher. Especially, us Phillies fans have seen that over and over again between Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay. Those guys didn't throw too hard, but they knew exactly where it was going, and they made careers out of it. I think that the velocity is probably going to come back. If I had to guess, it's probably partly just the past year for Aaron Nola has been really weird. He's pitched a ton, and he's pitched times he hasn't really been used to pitching. I think it'll come back, but you're absolutely right. He's going to age well because he knows how to pitch. Most pitchers who throw hard, they have to figure out how to pitch once they lose that velocity. Um, but if you already know how to do it, once you get to those ages, those high ages that pitchers get to, Wainwright comes to mind. I mean, he's 40 now, and he just knows how to
Yeah.
pitch, and he's making it work. So it's why I really do think that giving Aaron Nola 6 years, $200 million, or whatever he's asking for, it's not a bad idea. It's
Yeah,
something that you
I
can.
think you look at like guys like Jake Arrieta's prime too. I mean, obviously he didn't have the same start to his career that Nola did, but Nola could probably settle into some of those same velocities that he was hitting.
Yeah, the names go on and on. I mean, Zach Greinke.
Yeah,
The formula
Grank.
is kind of the same. Locate pitches and have the curveball to mix up the eye level. Very very
Um,
encouraging start from Aaron Nola.
yeah. That being said, I'm not sold on either Wheeler or Nola yet. I don't think one start was enough for me. Um, and my bigger concern is Wheeler. Definitely Wheeler. I don't. His fastball fluctuates a lot, and I've said it to you a million times, but Zach Wheeler is not Zach Wheeler when his fastball is like below 97 miles per hour.
Yeah, I heard this said by somebody. I feel bad because I can't remember the name, but do you know how Justin Verlander, especially younger Justin Verlander, he would start off the games like 95, 96, and then he gets to the seventh inning, the 100th pitch, and he pops up and throws 100 out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Do you think this is Zach Wheeler conserving his energy for spots where it really matters? I mean, you if you know how to pitch, you can get by with like 95, and if he still has the 98 to bail him out when he needs it, maybe this is Zach Wheeler conserving energy, because I mean, his last start, I hear you with the velocity, but he put it together, and it was probably his best game of the season. We might actually be watching Zach Wheeler kind of reinventing himself as well after he had that season last year with injuries. This might be Zach Wheeler tinkering and finding a formula that is a little less on the arm and kind of produces similar results.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting take. I mean, definitely really haven't been thinking about it that way. But if it is, then I mean, good for him. Hopefully, he can be effective while doing that type of thing and like saving what's left in the tank. He doesn't want to. I guess he doesn't want to empty it too early. But if you get shelled in the first and second innings, then it's not a great formula, you know.
Yeah, you're right. You kind of got to
So
you
he
got to
must
work
really
like good.
he really has to trust his off speeds, which have looked really good. His breaking pitches have looked really good this year.
Yeah, no, agreed. The dynamics of the podcast are way different now because you have absolutely no idea what I'm going to talk.
Yeah,
But
it's
no,
blind.
yeah, no, well said. But no, it was super encouraging. What was not encouraging is Taijuan Walker and the forearm tightness, and then he comes back and gets shelled, absolutely shelled against a. Let's face it, the Dodgers are not the Dodgers of past. I mean, they have some pieces, but this is kind of like a mediocre Dodgers team, and to see him come back after an injury scare and just look just terrible, not good. And then Bailey Falter he's he's been a little frustrating lately. It's not a
Oh,
huge
all
deal
right,
because
we're back off the Bailey Falter wagon.
it's just frustrating because I know that they're going to move Strom, who has been super good, in favor of Bailey Falter, who has not been as effective. Strom's looked great, man. I don't know what I don't know why this kind of wasn't the plan already. If they thought he could do this, they should have really bought into it, and you probably could have saved yourself $70 million with the Taijuan Walker deal. But no, it's really gonna suck when we're stuck with Bailey, who can have those games. But we're losing Matt Strom, who's arguably been our best starter so far, which is also crazy to say.
Yeah, I really don't see a place for when Ranger comes back. I don't see a place for Bailey Falter. I think the correct move would be to send Bailey down to AAA, bring Nick Nelson up from his rehab assignment, put him in that last bullpen spot, and then keep Strom in the rotation. I don't know if they'll listen to me. Dave, if you're listening, do that, because Bailey Falter is not a good pitcher against good teams. He's fine against the division scrubs and stuff like that, but I really don't want to. I don't like watching him, honestly.
Yeah, it's weird thinking of Bailey Falter in AAA because I feel like he's been here so long. I just feel like he's an established major league pitcher at this point. But you're right. I mean, I don't know how options work, but he definitely has an option, right?
I would think so. I haven't heard anything otherwise. I forgot to talk about Taijuan Walker, though. That's kind of a bigger concern at the moment. Yeah, he looked awful. I don't know if you watched it. I did.
Oh, you stayed up to watch that?
Yeah, well, the Sixers game happened, and I was like all hype. I'm like, oh, like Philly sports, like we just beat the shit out of a city that I hate in Boston. Like, let's beat the shit out of LA, and it'll be a great night. It was not a great night. He's I don't know why he thinks with his repertoire of pitches that he can live in the top of the zone. You're a sinker splitter. Yeah, what are you doing? Like he got comfortable because his fastball like struck out a couple guys in the top of the zone, and then he just started living there with everything. And I was like, nah, like Taijuan Walker, like if you don't live on the bottom segment of the strike zone, then that is not how he makes a living in the top of the strike zone. It's not what we signed him to do.
The line is really thin with Taijuan Walker. You're absolutely right. He needs to kind of understand who he is as a pitcher. I mean, and partly this is on JT and the pitching coach. I mean, what are we doing? It's so clear what success for Taijuan Walker looks like. He's going to be pounding the lower half of the strike zone, getting a ground ball rate that's extremely high, and limiting fly balls. And I mean, especially in Citizens Bank Park, where we watched like Nola, who's a good established pitcher, give up a ton of bombs every year. I mean, it should be the number one at the top of the plan. Sinkers down in the zone. But it's discouraging watching that happen after the injury. I don't know what was up with that. Hopefully he's okay because we need as much depth as we can get, especially with we don't really want to be moving people back and forth. It's nice to have an established staff. I like the idea of sending Falter down and keeping him on the same rotation as some of these back end starters. I don't know. The pitching's going to be interesting over these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, honestly, it's been the pitching staff has been keeping me up at night. I don't like our lack of velocity. I wish one of these young guys like Abel or Painter or McGarry could step in mid-season, because I just don't see enough stuff on this rotation. I see guys that make a living off location, and that's not always going to happen. You're going to need type of games where you just blow away the opponent with gas. And I miss that from this rotation. Maybe it's something we should have addressed this offseason. Maybe Walker wasn't the right fit. Maybe I'm overreacting. But I don't see much. I don't see the gas. I miss that.
True. We haven't really had it in a while because we had Gibson, who was he didn't throw very hard. We had Syndergaard, who didn't throw hard. You're right. We kind of formulated a staff here of soft tossers, which is not the most fun way to go about it, but no, it's gonna be okay. We're not gonna overreact yet. It's just worth noting.
All right.
Um,
All right, we'll cut that spiral off right now.
Nothing in terms of the offense is notable. I kind of just want to get into before we end this episode lineup construction because Bryce is
Okay.
back. He's batting third and Stott's out of the leadoff spot. How do you feel about moving Schwartz back to the leadoff spot? Um, I think it's partly because there's really not a clear spot for Kyle Schwarber at the bottom of this lineup. He's not been good in the 3 spot, and he's pretty versatile.
I gotta ask, where did they move Bryson? I didn't see it.
Stall for a second, and I'll tell you. Fifth, Bryson at fifth.
I like that actually. I like either him or Marsh in the 5 hole. I think it's a great idea to bring Schwarber back into the leadoff spot, because what I learned from these past couple weeks is that Bryson Stott is just a really good baseball player, and he has a good plate approach any spot he's in. But Kyle Schwarber, it is guaranteed he's going to strike out a lot with runners on base. And, he's really not – I know a lot of people were screaming when he was hitting all those home runs last year that we should be hitting him 4 or something so runners are on base. But that's not where he thrives. He hits a lot of solo home runs because it's a low-pressure situation. I'm not saying he's not a clutch guy. We know he is, but the tendency is right there. He leaves a lot of guys on bases. So leadoff's the spot.
Yeah, definitely. What I was going to say is I have much more confidence in Bryson Stott being able to bat at a different point in the lineup than I do Kyle Schwarber. Schwarbs is going to hit a lot of home runs and he's going to strike out a lot. And that's going to just be extremely frustrating when he's batting third and he's hitting a bunch of solo home runs with no one on and he's striking out with a bunch of guys on. The truth of it is, and no one's going to admit it, but he probably just doesn't like batting like in those high pressure situations. He just likes being leadoff and doing his own thing. Nothing wrong with that. I completely get that. And I don't have stats to necessarily back that up, but I have seen him these first couple weeks and he has not looked super comfortable.
Comfortability is half of baseball. I mean, got to be comfortable where you're playing in the field and where you're hitting the lineup. That helps you settle in.
We have Schwartz, Trey, who we should probably not this episode. We'll get to Trey Turner next episode because he hasn't been super good. But Trey,
we
Bryce,
sound like a broken record.
Yeah, Trey, Bryce, Castellanos, who deserves a shout out. He looks incredibly confident. The guy we wanted, and he looks back. Knock on wood. Bryson Stott in the 5 spot. JT, Bohm, Marsh, Sosa. Perfect.
I love it.
For me. No complaints for me.
I really love it.
Yeah, it's deep. It's deeper than I ever thought it'd be. We have just Marsh and Bohm at the bottom of the lineup, who are I might have the most confidence in those two. And they're batting 7-8. This is just ideal. This is a lineup that can compete with just about anybody, and it's fun. The fun starts now. The season. I mean, we can even make the argument season starts now. 15-15. Let's just wipe the slate clean. We'll just delete all of our old episodes, and this will just be our opening day episode.
Yeah. Happy opening day, everyone.
Season starts now. Got anything else?
No, I'm excited to stay up. Well, I'm not excited to stay up late, but I'm excited to watch Bryce Harper tonight. Also, got to shout out the pick swap guys. Sixers game was electric. Didn't need Embiid. Go check out their stuff. They've been all over it, and that's gonna be a fun playoff series.
Yeah. Actually, during this episode, they're probably going to record shortly because Joel Embiid's the NBA MVP.
Oh, that happened.
Yeah, he won it.
Are we breaking this news on a baseball podcast?
Yeah, that's going to be a huge plot twist. Double switch breaks Joel Embiid's MVP. But no, definitely go give them a listen because this is the time for them. They're really capitalizing on the energy the city has towards the team, kind of like we did last October. Their time is now, and go Sixers, go Phils. I wish this game was at home. Friday is probably going to be really, really fun. I can't make it, but it's going to be nice seeing the team back together. And yeah. That's all I got.
Me too. Go Phils.
Thank you guys for listening, and we will talk to you next week.